Hello folks, welcome back to Candace Boxing Channel. As I promised, I thought I would do a short little video here for the heavyweights post weigh-in. Now of course, it was going to be quite interesting to see what Parker and Dubois were going to weigh in, but of course now that Daniel has unfortunately had to withdraw, the latest I've read is it's a viral infection he's got, so we wish him a speedy and full recovery. There isn't much point really. We know that BAKOLE is going to be somewhere north of 300 pounds, but it is worth mentioning that Joseph Parker is the heaviest I've seen him, certainly the heaviest he's been in his last recent fights. Now clearly he put this weight on so that he could no doubt be more resistant to manhandling by Daniel Dubois. At least that's what I would think. He weighed in today at 267 pounds even. His last four fights were 247, 245, 250 and 239. So he's gained fully 20 pounds since his last fight, which is just quite a lot of weight. I'm not sure really whether to my eye, clearly he had a game plan, and George Lockhart and Andy Lee are the experts, right? So, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, just like a guy in the pub who's a fan, right? It seemed to me that he was carrying a little bit too much weight. Maybe 7 pounds too much. Maybe 260 might have been the ideal weight, but George Lockhart, who's clearly an expert, has thought that this is the right weight for him, right? We'll see. Is he going to need all that weight with BAKOLE? I wouldn't think that he's going to be, getting into, face-to-face, swapping punches with BAKOLE. I would think that he's going to sort of stick and move around BAKOLE to gas BAKOLE out, which one would expect almost fresh off the couch. BAKOLE's not going to have the legs for the long haul. And then, one would think that Parker's game plan would be to cruise to a points win, or potentially a late stoppage of a very, very, very exhausted BAKOLE. I'm not sure how that weight would have worked with Dubois. Of course, we don't know, right? But the more interesting one for me was Jilei Zhang. Because Zhang, it's laughable to say it, but he looked kind of svelte. He looked kind of lean. He wears his tracksuit. He's a very tall man, so he carries the weight well. But I was thinking that we might be seeing a Zhang as low as maybe, 272, 275, because he just looks, in good shape, lean, like I say. It sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Lean to talk, to a 20 stone man, right? But yeah, he definitely looks good. But he tipped the scales at 287.5, which is 20 and a half stone. So that's a lot of weight. That's a big unit, right? But like I say, he carries it very well. When we compare it to previous weights that he's weighed in at, against Wilder, he was 282 and 3/4. Parker, he was 291 and a half. Joyce 1 was 287. Then the first Joyce was 278. So it's kind of like a mean average of 284. That 278 brings that mean average down, of course. So he's not quite as heavy as he was against Parker, but he's heavier than he was against Wilder. Clearly he's got a sweet spot, but he does look good. Seeing that weight, it doesn't enthuse me that he's going to be, fleet-footed and he's going to have a lot of gas in the second half of the fight. So I'm not going to change, my review of the fight and how I see this unfolding. Kabayel, on the other hand, weighed in at 241, so 17 stone and change, 17.3 maybe. I used to be able to think in stones, but I've forgotten. Now it's, it's like if you get used to meters and then you have to switch to yards, it's, throws you off. Thankfully, I can think in both. Meters and kilometers when I'm driving around, and because I play a lot of golf during the summer, I play in yards. So I actually am bilingual in those measurements. But it's been a long time since I really thought in stones. Anyhow, Ajit Kabayel, if we look at his last 4 fights, so he's weighed in at 241 today. He was 238, 241, 238, 238. He's clearly got that weight nailed down. His weight doesn't fluctuate much from fight to fight, which is good. I think, when you have too much of the up and the down, we can sometimes draw negative inferences from that. Either that somebody's not living the life in between fights, or they're not sort of set on a nice weight. So Kabayel, I'm confident, is coming in at what for him is his fighting weight, and I would expect to see this go like I said in my prediction video. It could be a fight of 2 halves. Kabayel's got to keep out of the devastating power of Zhang in the first half of the fight, and then in the second half of the fight I suspect that Zhang is going to slow down quite a bit. Probably not as much as Martin BAKOLE is going to slow down, but Zhang has had a full camp, where Martin BAKOLE has very last minute replacement. On the subject of BAKOLE, I really hope that if he loses or just really doesn't show well, that the boxing establishment doesn't dump all over him. Again, it's coming into a fight at 48 hours notice, and the travel that he's had to fly from the Congo to Ethiopia to Dubai, I think that's his route, and then to Saudi. I mean, that's a lot of time on an airplane and a pressurized container. So, the odds are really against BAKOLE doing well, though they are close odds, as I mentioned in my previous video, which I think is just the bookies taking advantage of punters, to be honest with you. So yeah, I think that Ajit Kabayel has clearly dialed it in. He's come to fight, is at a weight that he's fought at before. Big Bang looks great, but that's a lot of meat to be carrying. So I don't see any real change, other than the fact that I think Big Bang does look good. And I'm looking forward to this fight. I hope it's a really good fight. I was very much looking forward, as you all know, to Dubois and Parker. Even though I'd favoured Parker slightly, there was a very live possibility of a lot of action from Dubois, and it could have well ended up in Parker taking a nap. Parker, BAKOLE, it's a lot to ask of BAKOLE to bring a lot of excitement, without having had a full camp. And Parker, was not the most exciting fighter. His style isn't necessarily one where you want to be, cheering, him on for his fighting style. I'm not saying he's not very skillful or accomplished, but it's great that we've got the fight, but somewhat disappointing. So anyhow, there we go. There's my final thoughts. Super excited about tomorrow. What I'll do is, as I'm watching the fights, I'll put up a little video maybe after each fight, or maybe put 2 or 3 together and stuff like that to keep you informed. Though I suspect, if you're watching this channel, you're probably watching your devices and your TV tomorrow anyhow, whatever time zone you're in. For me, it's going to be quite good. The fights will start sort of 8 o'clock in the morning, be a nice full day in the couch. My wife's at work. I'll have a pizza in the oven. I'll have the dogs sitting on the couch. They like boxing. It'll be all wrapped up by tea time, and then I'll sort of nip around and look busy and maybe possibly get out and do a couple of chores, so that my wife doesn't necessarily think that all I've done all day is lounge around on the couch, which of course that's what I will be doing. Okay, well, please like, please share, please subscribe. The great thing is we're past 400 subscribers. That's amazing. I think when I last checked, it was 402. So thank you. Cheers. Really appreciate it. Let's see where we can get this channel to go, hey? And I know it might sound silly to, big channels out there have got thousands and thousands and thousands of people, but I'm absolutely overjoyed that 400 subscribers. That's just amazing. Thank you, everybody. Okay, have a wonderful day, and I will see you on the next video. Cheers. Bye-bye.